this presentation is the following. It's kind of the big picture. Every 200 to 300 years, Western society transforms itself. And on the other side of that transformation, life is totally different. The very construct of life has changed. It happened in around the 11th century when Europe came out of the Dark Ages. It happened between 1457 and 1517, the Gutenberg Press and the High Renaissance. When Europe flourished, it happened. My central point is this. I think Bob actually mentioned it yesterday, that incumbents typically can't change their fundamental business model, that they are unable to change the way they do business in order to do business in a different way. The movie studios should have dominated television in 1947. They didn't. They ignored it. It was beneath their dignity. The broadcast network should have dominated cable in 1979 when Ted Turner started the whole damn thing with putting a little UHF station in Atlanta on the satellite. They ignored it. And they each suffered profoundly for that. Joseph Schumpeter, a Nobel economist, made this statement. We live in a perennial gale of creative self-destruction, meaning that we have to destroy our existing business model totally, completely, if there is a better business model. Otherwise, we will be replaced. The sad news is, in about 8 out of 10 cases, the incumbents simply cannot do that. I flew in here yesterday, actually Wednesday, on US Airways from Oakland Airport. The 4 airlines in the top of this chart have labor cost per passenger mile of about 5 cents. The 2 guys at the bottom have labor costs per passenger mile of 2.5 cents. Game over. There's an entertainment revolution going on in movies and music, impacted by technologies. Tell you a little about that. But the old way of doing business, I spent 8 years at Columbia Pictures when Coca-Cola owned it. That world is gone. I'll tell you how in a minute. IPTV, Internet Protocol TV, that's what the Hewlett-Packard flat panel television is. It's going to essentially so threaten Comcast, Time Warner Cable, Dish Networks, DirecTV. Oh boy, when we get a fat pipe into our home, really fat pipe, 100 megabits a second, and an IP addressable, high definition, 50-inch plasma, LCD, surround sound television set, Katie, bar the door. Things are going to change. Performance-based marketing, marketing that is accountable, is coming. The demise of traditional ad-supported TV. Sorry, I gotta still say it, including the traditional. It's not going to go away, but it's going to be profoundly altered. Voice over Internet Protocol, VoIP, tell you a little about that. An accurate media rating system. Good God, VNU and Arbitron. Folks, how could we have used this stuff for so long and it is so profoundly inaccurate and clearly not based on facts? The good news is some technology is coming that's going to change that. But the bad news is V&U, they can't change their business model. They tried with Apollo. They know it's coming. Arbitron knows, but it's such a cash cow, they can't throw it out. I'm going to tell you the companies are going to replace them and give you and your clients accurate ratings. Ad ID from this organization and the ANA, a UPC code for advertising, if you will, radio frequency identification being promoted by that little chain called Walmart that's going to have an incredible impact. And finally, based on all of the above, what I think is going to be a true marketing and advertising renaissance. And I think I'll conclude with that as my most optimistic view of the day. These then are the 10 trends which we're going to live with. And what I'm going to suggest to you is learn about them, be prepared to. It's not a matter of if this stuff is going to happen, folks. I'm not predicting the future. I'm talking about the futurity of what already is in place. We're halfway through this transformation. We'll be through it in about 2016 or so. But we're really into it, and these are the trends that are going to change that. It was wonderful. They sat there in the living room, family room, glued to the station. Sometimes they turned on Huntley Brinkley at 6:30, and they stayed on NBC all night. And you could tell them anything. You really could. I was on a Procter brand, Duncan Hines. We made a lot of chocolate cake mix. I took the chocolate out of the cake mix and put it in a packet and liquefied it and told the consumers to mix it back in. And they did, and they thought the cake tasted better. And I took out the powdered egg and said, put a fresh egg in, and they did, and it tasted better. More costly, more, I could do that. I mean, you were a god then, because they sat there looking at that 60-second commercial. It was a wonderful time. I miss it. 1980 to 2004 has been the era of the remote control and the channel surf. And 2005 on is the era of the DVR, the video iPod, AOL TV, Slingbox, Squeezebox. It's all going to change. Skip and omit is the term I'd use there. During 47 to 79, interrupt and irritate. You could do it. I mean, ring around the collar. Least objectionable programming was a programming concept at the network. Entice and entertain during that remote control period. Bob Lackey at Anheuser-Busch did a wonderful job. Paris Hilton in the Carl's Jr. X-rated spot. You know, you were just entertaining people. Now we're getting to embedded and hidden advertising. My friend John Costello, when he was EVP at Home Depot, started trading spaces. And Home Depot was indigenous to that program. You know, I mean, it made sense. It was a whole commercial. I was watching Desperate Housewives last year, and there was about a 4-minute segment. One of the housewives was demonstrating a car at an auto show. And she was embarrassed because it was beneath her dignity. It was a Buick Lucerne. She gave a point-by-point feature of that Buick automobile. I mean, absolutely complete. Showed the interior, everything about it. And about 10 minutes later, I said, wait a minute. I was so worked into the plot. I just saw an ad from General Motors, and I had. It was absolutely part of the program.